We check. We have Mark Scott. He probably wants to come on over here.
He might be having the same problem as I am.
Yeah.
It wouldn't let me join as a it wouldn't let me join as a panelist.
Okay. I just brought him in as a panelist.
Okay.
And then just WinCam. I mean, and WinCam, not just WinCam.
Yep. So then after that, we have a set of meetings for October 7th. I don't know if you had a chance to look at those or not. I didn't see any problem with them. Did you get any other comments back, Don?
No, nothing from anybody else. I haven't checked in the last 2 hours, so because I've been traveling, but so far, no.
Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion, or they need more time?
This is Brendan. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay. And second from anyone?
I'll second.
Chris. All right, we'll do a roll call. I can't really tell who's on, but I'm going to start anyways. Frank?
Aye.
All right, is Lisa on?
Yeah, I'm here. Yep.
Okay, Lisa, all set?
Yes, thank you.
Todd?
Aye.
All right, Geetha?
Yes.
All right. John? That's John. Colleen?
I have to abstain because I wasn't on
Oh,
that.
that's right. Right. Thank you.
Sorry, I was not on either. This is John.
Okay.
Okay, John. Okay.
Yeah, I remember that, the three of them on the meeting minutes. And Mark? Richard?
Yes.
Okay, and Emily?
Yes.
And Don?
Yes.
All right, thank you, everyone. Moving on. Working off two screens here. Okay, budget update from Hill. Andy, you're going to take this?
Looks like you're on mute, Andy.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we had a walkthrough today on site. Thanks everybody for joining us. It was great. So on the dashboard, I'm going to be presenting the construction progress on the next two slides, and then so I just want to focus on the key delivery. So right now we have the rooftop to be delivered in 2 weeks, mid-November. Switchgear right now we have that being targeted for the end of this month before Thanksgiving. The switchgear will be delivered. Curtain wall and windows, we are targeting between Christmas and New Year because of the holiday. So we're not sure which day, but it's between Christmas and New Year. Casework, we have the third floor mid-December for delivery, and the generator is targeting for the end of February. Phenolic tile, as of right now, we don't have the delivery date yet, but we anticipate that to happen earlier in January. And lighting is in the spring of 2025. Pedestrian bridge, we're targeting for spring delivery of the material, and then summer installation. The primary focus that we're concerned right now is the permitting for the bridge. Pedestrian bridge, so we're targeting to get that for some of the installation. Right now we don't have any news on it, so that's why I put it here on the current issue, like area focus. Budget wise, we're up to change order 4. I'm going to be presenting change order 5 tonight for the amount of $39,275.28. I have that on the next couple of slides. The budget right now, where we stand, we have about $6.2 million in construction contingency and about 291,000 in soft cost contingency. We still have about $2.9 million for the FF&E and technology. We just finished that package, and it's gonna the FF&E consultant sent out the FF&E package for pricing right now. We should expect to get that in December on the price. The cash flow. Oops, let me go back. Well, we're right on budget on the cash flow. Just sorry about that. Any question on the dashboard before I move on?
I do not.
All right.
Sorry, Andy, what's the bid date again for FF&E?
So right now we're sending it out. We should have that around, according to the schedule, mid-December. So, once we have the price, and if we're going to present this to this committee, and once it's approved, they're going to start fabricating. That should be, the furniture should be fabricated by, I would say, mid-April, but on our schedule, we're not going to get delivery until July. So we have plenty of time, but we want to get that out of the way. That's just the furniture.
And if I can, on the move RFP, are we fully coordinated, like with Frank and Andrew, in terms of what that scope is versus what teachers and staff are expecting when they come back into the building?
So, Chris, to answer your question, yes, I did talk to Andrew last Thursday about that. He will be drafting the move RFP probably December, January timeline to get that out on the street probably in February. So we are planning that right now. That's where we are on the RFP.
Quick question for you about, and maybe you'll get to it schedule-wise, but it looks like according to the cash flow analysis, we're a little over a month behind in terms of the actual expenditure versus estimated, but the project schedule is still supposedly on schedule. So are we catching up at some point with the projections?
So on the interior, we're catching up, but the item that we're behind, but we're still overall on schedule is the window in the curtain wall. So that was initially projected for like the end of October, but that got pushed out because of the lead time and during the submittal review, that didn't make it on schedule, but overall we're on schedule.
Also, Andy, if I may interject, Mark, we have 2 invoices this month to present because of the way that the timing fell on the month for October for the September invoice, as well as the October to the November, and the timeline of when we make our presentations. We have 2 invoices this month to submit, and that will also change the trajectory of the cash flow.
Thanks.
Any other question on the dashboard?
Okay. I don't see any hands up.
Okay, so for change order 5, I have a total of 8 PCO. The first PCO 8 is for a credit of $9,360.05. This is for the PV system adjustment. This is when we review, this was with Griffin and Tape and the consultant. The detail for the installation got during the coordination process, they were able to adjust it, and then this result in a saving of $9,360.05. Next PCO is PCO 27, solar footing elevation change. This is for a total of $7,395.93. This is a result, for a better work with the grading at the parking lot surrounding the finished material. The adjustment were made for the solar pier footing, which require additional rebar to add to the top of the piers. So this is a total of $7,395.93. The PCO 31R2, this is for the added lock per RFI 91. So this is so the lock will not specify in the drawing for the new work. So those are later added by the owner. They wanted the lock. This is for the cubby in the cabinets for a total of $2,710.70. PCO 43 for the wood flooring at the stage in lieu of the hardboard. So the specification call for the hardboard, but their intent is to get the wood flooring. So there was a mistake in the specification. So the change is to get the wood flooring instead of the hardboard. So it's for an addition of $3,213. PCO 44, this is regarding to the 60-minute glazing at the hollow metal frame for $6,169.35. This is during the submittal process. It was clarified that the glazing at the exterior hollow metal frame need to be 60-minute instead of 45 minutes. This is regarding to the rating. So they need to change that to 60-minute instead of 45. So this is for additional $6,169.35. PCO 47, this is the music storage room cabinet revision for $721 credit. This is result from during the FF&E review of the furniture. One of the user, they made modification, so it's end up in the saving of $721. This is from the music department request for the change. So next is the PCO 51 for outdoor classroom added RAM rail. So this is the second, the lower rail that was missed. So it's required for ADA compliance. So we need to add that in for a total of $14,077.35. PCO 53 is the door frame remix. So during the submittal review of the door frames, the design team, they made an error by, specifying the and that's a total of $15,790. So the total for PCO 5 is $39,275.28. I also have for tonight, Chris Shockey will do a presentation on the landscape package. PCO 28 is for a total of $222,036.03. This included the landscape, the revised landscape, and also the playground equipment. So Chris Shockey will do a presentation on that. Any question on the PCO?
Yes, if I just ask a question, maybe just like, for example, if you see the PCOs and just for information purpose, if you see a line item for, footing elevation change for one line item, does that mean everything else related to the footing elevation PCOs has been taken care of, or just?
So this PCO is specifically for the solar footing elevation change. You're referring to PCO 27, right?
Yeah. I mean, just in an overall picture, does that mean there could be a separate PCOs related to footing, or how they're grouped together, just to get an overall idea of how much of PCOs related to footings? How can we sort of put our finger and get an idea? That's all I'm trying to drive the question.
As of right now, this will probably be the last for the footing. I mean, most of the footing as you walk through in the building, they're like done. I don't see any
Okay,
projecting.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, Emily has her hand up. Emily?
Hi. So question, a few of these items feel like they should be a contingency cost. I guess I'm just curious as to how we're deciding what gets applied to contingency and what doesn't.
So
Like, for example, oh, go ahead.
All of the, for PCO 5 for the total of 39,275 and 28 cents, we are recommending this out of the construction contingency.
Okay, so all of change order 5 is going to be applied to it.
Yes.
Okay.
It's going to come out of that $6.2 million construction contingency.
And do you guys have a design contingency on top of construction in a separate bucket?
No, the design contingency is really during the design phase. We carry that design contingency, but that you know, when we go into construction, that is
Okay, thank you.
But we do have soft cost contingency, which is the owner's contingency. That's separate than the construction contingency.
Yep, correct. Yep, this is the contingency she was referring to, the 291,643.
Mm-hmm.
Along the line of MSBA also looks at it as construction contingency and owner's contingency. Is that how they look at it too?
Yes,
along
correct.
the line of, okay.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions for Andy? Any? All right, we'll move on, I guess, to conservation update from Meg.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jay. I'm not done with the presentation. Can I keep going?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
That was just the financial part.
Yeah, sorry.
Yep, that was just the financial part. So let's go into the construction update. So for the month of October, let me just go back to the slide here. All right, so for the month of October, we finished placing the solar canopy footing in the piers on the west side, west parking lot, the south parking lot, and the canopy at the in front of the building on the south side. We completed the last piece of the concrete pour in the gym today. A few of you have seen that. That's the last piece of the slab on grade. Structural steel fireproofing, that, you know, we completed that in October, but that's still ongoing on like certain area where they didn't they did a low you know, spray. They have to touch up on certain area, especially where sometime when, you know, if an MEP's up, you know, when they install the ductwork or whatever, they scrape some of those away, but they touch up on that. We substantially completed the exterior framing and the sheeting. They're doing the AVB around, like, you know, clockwise from the gym, going around from the north to the south side. So I would say we're about like 85% done on that. On the AVB, but the exterior framing and the sheeting is completed. The brickwork we started at the north side at the gym area, and then going counterclockwise, as you've seen today. You know, the most, I would say about 40% of the gym is done, but we're working counterclockwise around the north side right now. We began the fire protection work inside the building. MSBA update, their next site visit will be on November 14. Right now on the requisition, we're close to 50%. So as part of MSBA submission, we need to do a 50% DCAM evaluation to the GC and the file sub. So we're going to work on that this week, starting this week. FF&E package, as I mentioned earlier, that is, the package is ready. It's going out for pricing. We should see something back in December. Rough MEP inspection, that is happening at the end of this week in November, and we're gonna start the drywall next week. We're targeting for next week on the 3rd floor, and then the second floor is about 2 weeks behind, not behind schedule, but like we're starting from the third floor to the second to the first floor. So the MEP on the second floor is about 2 weeks behind from the third floor on the sequence, and then the first floor, it's about a month on the sequence away from the third floor. So in 2 weeks, they're going to do the MEP inspection on the second floor, and then, drywall will follow that. We're targeting to finish the exterior waterproofing on the, that's what I mentioned earlier on the south side. We're targeting to finish that this month in November. We want to finish the roof installation throughout. We still have like a few section in the lower roof at the canopy, another area that we're planning to finish. But the main roof is all completed. Interior framing, that targeting to finish that this month. We have a little bit in the first floor to do. November, HVAC rough work on the second and third floor. We're planning to finish that, this month. CMU blocking and the brickwork, we can continue throughout. It's probably going to take a few more months. We just started the brickwork. MEP roughing, that's still ongoing in November, and we're going to continue with the grading and the binding on site in November. They just start crushing, the latch and start doing that. In December, January, to answer Chris' question, we're going to start that the move RFP, and targeting, try to get that out on the street, around February. Substantial completion on the rough MEP on the second and the third floor. We're targeting to finish that December, January timeline. The rooftop unit, we're planning to finish that probably December, January timeline. As I mentioned, that's going to be delivered at the end of this month earlier. And then the sheetrock, we planning to finish, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to start that next week on the third floor, planning to finish that in December. And then, head over to the second floor, and then, doing the tile work in the bathroom, December, January timeline. Here's some progress picture. This is the west side, the canopy, the solar canopy. We finished, we completed that in October. Here's the south side canopy at the south lot. The brickwork, we started at the gym. We started that like in October. We're going to work clockwise from the north side to the south side. Counterclockwise. We started the EIU curb installation on the roof. So we're going to get that ready for delivery at the end of this month for the rooftop unit. Ongoing MEP work in the second floor. And this is the third floor MEP work still ongoing. This is the interior framing on the first floor. We still have a little bit of that going. We just poured this last section of the at the gym, the slab on grade last Saturday. And this is the progress looking north. This is the last waterproofing area that I mentioned. And this is looking south side. This is actually the north looking south. So this is the gym. This is before the brickwork, but we already completed this side earlier on the veneer of the brick. So we're gonna, start from here, doing counterclockwise, going this way around the building. Any question?
I don't see any.
For those of us who missed the site visit today, we had a conflict. Is there any time later this week it would be possible to visit the site?
Is there a certain day? We usually meet on site on Thursday. If you want to come, like, is there like a day that if you guys can come together and I can set it up?
Andrew Marin, my office can help. He can coordinate something on Thursday if you want to do that, if that's available. Either before or after the trailer meeting.
I'll piggyback on Thursday as well.
If you guys just want to shoot me an email, I'll coordinate it.
Chris Nixon?
Yeah, I figured somebody else in the committee might have said something about it. I wanted to acknowledge the gray safety rails on the roof that are not neon yellow that occupied our time for many, many weeks last year. So they look pretty good.
I pointed out when I got there.
Oh, is that right? Today?
I really like the gray.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the yellow that they put on other sites.
It does make a difference.
Yep.
I don't want to. Well, who is responsible for the rain leaders on the solar panel? It's already pre-installed. Just curious. You know, the parking lot canopy.
I believe that would be the plumber and PJ Dion.
Okay. On the site, outside on the site. Okay.
On the site, yeah.
Okay. No other questions, Andy?
Chris Shaka, do you want to do your presentation now on the?
Oh, yeah, Meg first.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Conservation, and then we'll go jump to the playground.
Okay.
So a couple of weeks ago, we met with Martha Hoyt from the Conservation Commission. We met her in the job trailer with Brait and members from Hill and the site contractor. And so part of the order of conditions, one of the requirements is that Brait goes back to the commission to talk about their means and methods for the revised, site work, not the bridge, its design itself, but all the riprap installations. So we had a meeting where the site contractor explained to Martha, and we did this by Zoom because we had niche engineering on the call as well, so we were able to record it. And the site contractor explained to Martha how he was going to do the work by using, he was going to use a lot of sheet piling and create, cofferdams, etc., which would be less disturbance to the slopes and to the surrounding area. So Martha was very pleased with that. She took that information back to Elaine and to the Conservation Commission, and they felt that that meeting was sufficient to meet that requirement of the order of conditions. So we are good to go. So it was all very positive. And that's really it. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions for Meg?
I have a follow-up question then. What did go in the Chapter 91 package? Isn't that something that they might turn around and ask the same questions now? And I'm just kind of missing the loop here. Because
they don't typically care about, they would not ever asked us about our means and methods. There's a design for the work, and there's calculations about, disturbance and in water work. So they have, Niche has been, Niche follows up with their contact at Chapter 91 in there. It's in review. There's no dates yet. We expect probably, hopefully to get, word after the new year, January, February, get the permit issued. The work is scheduled to start in March. The time of year restriction starts in April, so not sure that timing is going to work out. But we'll have to wait and see. But the permit had all the information that was required. There wasn't any change after the permit was submitted, permit application was submitted.
Okay, I mean, I don't have the application, but I was just thinking as a process wise, okay, the town went to the Concom, the town or the project went to the Concom and explained the methods and means, and that should have been spelled out in the Chapter 91 package. I don't know what to say.
No, that typically wouldn't happen, Geetha, because the architects and engineers don't dictate means and methods, and
Not dictate
typically,
methods and means, I understand, but sort of in the what is envisioned, so that we minimize the distance. I get it. It's just not the contractor methods and means, but anyway, where I'm driving this is whether the Chapter 91 package is it complete? That's why I'm asking. So why did the Concom post the question now? I mean, I'm just.
it was
that-
one of their special conditions that they felt, they just put it in there that they wanted Brate to come back to talk about. And I had a
Okay.
long conversation with the chairman of
Okay,
the,
I mean, all I'm worried is the permitting getting on time, and that's all I'm asking. It's not the meeting we
Yeah.
had with the Concom or whatnot, but whether is it going to trigger the permitting? That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, now we can move on to Chris then, Jackie.
Right. Awesome. So we looked at we were asked, I guess, to look at revisions to the preschool playground and then the K through 5 playground. And so the district and the design team, we spoke with the pre-K and the K through 5 teachers, representatives from the administration, from the teachers. The district and the design team also talked to the Winchester DAC representatives and some representatives from the WinPAC. So just to give you a little bit of a background of kind of who we were trying to talk to during the revisions, and to jump into the site plan a little bit. So if you can see my mouse, this is the building, right? I think you can see my mouse. The parking lot to the west is over here. This is where folks parked when they came and visited the site today. We came in kind of through this direction and walked through that way. So main building, we have parking along here. And then the 2 playgrounds that we're talking about right now is this one, the pre-K, and then the K through 5. That's the pre-K and then the K through 5. And right below, to go back real quick, right below this K through 5 is a field. It's going to be kind of an open play type of field. There won't be any lines. There won't be anything like that that delineates a specific kind of play, but it's just a field for students to kind of play during recess and run around. So to dive a little bit more into the pre-K area, and it's right outside of the pre-K wing, so it's all connected and easily accessible. So you can kind of see in this image, this was the previous design. There was a couple play structures with a spinner and then like a sensory wall down here, kind of to this bottom right of this play area. And then all the way to the right is a track with a soft playing surface in the middle. So this blue is kind of that soft safety surface. It's kind of squishy under your foot. And so what we did with talking with everyone from this design to the new, which I'll show you in a minute, is we replaced a lot of the equipment into a larger kind of post and deck structure. It's got a bridge and a tunnel, and we removed any kind of rope feature. So there's no ropes. We removed this spinner here, and then we kept this sensory wall along here, and we kept the track, but we changed it to the rubber surface, to that safety surface. So this is a plan of the new structure. So it takes place of that spinner and kind of that other little playground feature. So you can see it's bigger. There's more slides. It takes a little bit more of that space. And then kind of these are the renderings of that play structure. So you can see there's multiple tandem slides coming down. There's one piece of, when talking through with the pre-K, one piece that they really liked about what they had was kind of this tunnel. And so I think that was kind of an important piece for us to kind of be able to replicate that play that they said that their students really loved. And so, yeah, you can see this, it's definitely bigger than what we had originally had in the space. And so, yeah, so it's definitely a little bit more of a structure than we had. Yeah, so this is kind of that flip side. So you can see the stairs and the transfer spot, just different kind of play elements within that. Again, we kept that safety, or the sensory wall, and then the track with the new surfacing. So that's more or less pre-K, and then moving to the K through 5. So this area, after a review, it stayed very much more similar to what we had proposed versus the pre-K, where it changed quite a bit. But a couple things that we did change, that there's some, you'll see them a little bit better in the renderings, but there's little connector pieces that we widened a little bit. We made them kind of a rubber belt connection so that they'll be a little bit more stable. There's an embankment slide on this side down here. And so we made that double wide. We increased some safety surface. We replaced a spinner that was down here with an accessible spinner. And then we replaced some basket swings. There was a basket swing here, and we just replaced them with regular belt swings. And so one of the really, I think, kind of fun parts to this is that this right here is a path up. So it slopes up all the way up to here, where there's like a little hut, basically. And so from the top of this hill, 5-foot berm, we're calling out, down to here is just like a gentle slope. And then it kind of, that slope will kind of come down on either side. And so it's a nice little walkway that is able to get you up to this hut without having to climb up if you don't want to. Some of this kind of play structure up here. So we really like that kind of feature to this whole thing. And then, yeah, so this is the previous design. Again, when you see the new renderings, it'll be a little bit of most of the same stuff. But kind of going back, so this over here is that double, we widened it to a double embankment slide. We increased the safety surface, the rubber surface down here, just below that. And then these connector pieces to this hut and then to this hut, we made sure that they were wide, rubber belt, kind of a little bit more stable than what we had previously shown here, which was like a little bit narrower. It was a little bit of a trickier kind of connection. And then this was a spinner that we've replaced with an accessible spinner. And then some of the swings have been replaced. But generally, you can see that the slope kind of coming up. Yeah, and then there's like a couple pieces that we kept with tables and chairs, and yeah, generally it looks fairly the same. So again, so this is the new site plan, so it looks pretty similar. There's just the nuances, and then the updated renderings of the structure. So please just kind of look at the structure. Don't really look at all the trees in the background and things like that, because that was not really placed within our setting. It was, this kind of comes from the manufacturer. Yes, Chris, I think you're.
These are probably good images for you to ask this question. Can you just describe to us, Chris, what is the material on the slopes on either side of that gradual ramp? What is the material? How is it stabilized?
Yeah, so it's that like the rubber safety surface, that squishy surface that I'm sure you've seen on other playgrounds before.
And so I guess, so the reason I'm asking is at Vincent Owen, as Frank is painfully aware. So VO opened in the fall of 13, and we are about to replace, Frank or Andrew, we're replacing the entirety of that rubberized surface, are we not? I think that we got a supplemental funding request coming to fall town meeting, so it will have lasted, basically 11 years. And of course, that's all just flat. So given that what you're proposing is you've got kind of sloped surfaces, I'll do my best with my hands, so that rubberized surface comes up and meets a horizontal, would that be concrete? That actual, that gradual walkway that you showed, is that okay? So there's concrete because I see control joints there. So where the rubber comes up at a slope and meets the concrete, there's an open construction joint basically. What's your feel? I mean, I'm just seeing at how the rubberized surface has really kind of deteriorated faster at VO than we had certainly expected, and it's just horizontal. I presume the slope here is such that, we may have kids kind of crawling up and down the side slopes, right? And then you've got that open joint exposed to the weather. I'm thinking about freeze thaw. Do you guys, Chris, does Taipei have much experience using this rubberized material on a slope like you're showing? Because we certainly don't have that in Winchester. And is there a high degree of confidence that's sort of the right way, that's the right material for the slope?
Yeah, so Warren Larson has done this a lot in a lot of their projects with kind of this ramp and the slope. They've done a number of these types of projects, and I think they're confident in their designs and the materials. So I don't have any hesitations with what they've designed.
And I guess my only follow-up is, does that construction joint from the top of the slope where it meets the concrete, does that call for a sealant of some kind? I mean, if you had dissimilar materials on a roof, you'd be putting in Dow 7, but I don't think you want kids touching that. So, I mean, is that something? I mean, I think you understand the question, right?
Yeah, and I'd have to get back to you on if there's anything like a sealant between them. I don't know that exact detail, but I do know that they've had success with other projects.
Okay.
Mark, you have a question?
Chris, there's a representative project. If you want to see something that has this condition and many more, often more extreme conditions, you can see the playground adjacent to the Children's Museum on Fort Point Channel. If you're ever down in Boston, it's pretty dramatic. And I can't remember the opening year, but it gets extremely heavy public use and it's in quite good shape after, anyway, some significant number of years. So it seems to me like seeing that you can get it right, and if it's done right, it's pretty durable and it lasts a while, and it's totally possible that there's something at VO that maybe wasn't installed quite perfectly and led to some accelerated aging.
We're also telling the kids that the blue is a moat, so that just to discourage them from crossing over and climbing up that slope, and we feel pretty confident about that.
There you go.
I like it.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, no other questions. All right.
This is Lisa. Sorry, Jay. I think it looks good, and thanks, Chris. It's, I know you put a lot of time and effort into it. It looks good. It's a big improvement, and hopefully we can get it off the ground, as we say.
Yeah. It was, I think it's definitely been good, a good process.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's very accessible, so I'm very pleased.
Awesome.
I would just echo that, Chris. You've been patient and good and really worked hard at this. And I know you have put more time in this than probably anticipated, but you really listened to people's feedback well, and we appreciate the responsiveness.
I appreciate that. Likewise. Yeah.
Okay. Nothing else. We'll move on to the town manager's letter for Meg.
Should be able to see that. Okay.
Hey, Jay.
Yes.
No, yeah, there we go.
Go ahead.
I just want to mention that the pay structure has a long lead item, a long lead time to it. So hoping to get that PCO approved tonight so we can release that for fabrication.
Well, that wasn't on our letter.
So we can add that as a vote.
Okay.
Jay. The other item we don't have here is the TAPE invoice. I got the TAPE invoice email, but there was no attachment. Andy or Mark, did you see the amount?
I did not, Meg. I got that same email as you did, and
Okay.
fortunately, when I pulled up my laptop, I noticed that the attachment was not there.
Okay, so I'll just handle that between Jay, and then I'll put it on the next
Okay.
I'll put it on the next manager's letter. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. Everything is the monthly invoices, rates, application number 11 for $4,047,135.44. Triumph Modular, their monthly invoice for $29,850. As Vivian explained earlier, last month we did not have a Lero invoice in time for the meeting, so there are two invoices for September and October. The first is for $87,685.30, and the second is for $101,780.60. We also didn't have Harbor Networks invoice in time, so that's a typical monthly invoice that will be coming to us later. We have an invoice on here for LCN for $5,975. This is for them to take the cabling, the old internet cabling that came off of the existing Lynch building, and they coiled it up and put it into a manhole, and Brate kind of protected it until we could get to it. And now that this was working together with the two IT departments, the town and the school, to have LCN do something with it. I don't quite know what it is, but Andrew, are you on the line? You could explain exactly. But this is all in effort to make sure that everything is ready to go once the school opens. So there's two spending authorizations. The first you can see right now is change order 5 that Andy went over for $39,275.28. And then we have the playground landscape. And Andy, can you tell me what that number is? 222? You are muted.
222,036.03.
Yep, correct.
222,036.03.
Right.
222,036.03.
Meg, shouldn't the Lero invoices be two different invoices?
I was just going to ask that question.
Is that a typo?
Yeah, that's a typo. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Maybe I want to correct it.
Yeah. For the record.
Yes,
I can
please.
tell you
Yeah.
what it is in a second. Yeah, I have it right here.
And then, Meg, can I
my
just-
800-page attachment. Oh,
Jay,
Yeah.
I have a quick question for Chris Sharkey, just regarding the cost for the playground equipment. Are the colors, so the colors and the axonometrics you showed were a little different than the kind of the higher res renderings. Are those meant to be literal? Are there still colors to be selected, like for the canopy tops and posts and equipment? Was that meant to be taken literally? Are there costs associated with like final color selection? I mean, sometimes you see these things, it's like primary colors, red, yellow, blue. That's not what you're showing.
Correct. So the pre-K, those colors have been picked. So it's kind of just greens, kind of that lighter blue. And I don't know for that main K through 5 structure where we are with those colors, but it would be a similar kind of color scheme.
Okay,
Nothing,
and I only
no like
raised-
fire engine red or orange
Right.
or anything like that.
So the only reason I'm raising it is, I mean, it may not be like an automobile, but I mean, maybe not all colors are the same price. So I just want to be sure the 222,036 that still gives you either.
Yep, it gives us a full color range if we need it. But yeah, so but again, the pre-K with that lighter green and blue kind of scheme is probably more or less kind of the direction we're going.
Okay. Jay, I'm happy to make a motion if you want, that we
Let
approve.
me, before you make the motion, Chris, let me clarify. So the invoices, that's the job number I copied down. The $87,000 invoices, invoice 40, and the $101,000 invoices, invoice 41, just so everybody's clear.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the payment authorizations in the manager's letter of November 4th to Brate Builder, Triumph Modular, Hill Lero, 2 months worth of invoices and LCN as presented. And in addition, 2 spending authorizations, one in the amount of $39,275.28 for change order 5 for Brate Builders, and a second spending authorization of $222,036.03 for playground equipment specification and revisions as presented by TAP A tonight.
Happy to second that.
Oh, sorry.
Who seconded, Frank?
Oh, Frank, you take it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do a roll call on that. And Lisa,
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
Bud,
Yes.
Keitha,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Colleen,
Yes.
Mark? You all set, Mark? Yep, thanks. Richard,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
thank you. Okay, that's great. I think the Hill team can jump off if you're all set. We're gonna hit some fall town meetings items next.
May I ask a quick question, Jaden? Meg mentioned the Concom special conditions meeting and whatnot. So if that case, is PCO along the line is making its way? Like Meg, you mentioned, Concom, you have to meet and explain the cofferdam and whatnot. So it's a dollar amount to stick to that too. So I was just curious. PCO from?
Hill has requested additional backup material.
Okay.
And so we're waiting for that information to then fully review it. The
Okay.
cost. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Chris,
you.
you want to take this?
You bet. So I got a bunch of town meeting stuff we have to jump into tonight and have some discussion and approval. But first, I just want to let everybody know that the first night of fall town meeting is going to be Thursday, November 7th. And then because of the holiday, the second night will be November 14th, followed by Monday, November 18th. And the fourth and final night is going to be November 21st. Town meeting this fall cannot go more than 4 nights. And there are, I believe, 33 or 34 articles on the warrant. Some of them are quite lengthy. So the moderator is working really hard to try to be efficient in her approach to running the meeting. She just told me last week she's estimating that just to get through, I think Article 9 may take 1.5 nights. So it is most unlikely there will be any EFPBC articles in night number 1. It's possible night number 2, but most likely maybe night number 3. That'll be the 18th of November. So a few things just to review with you guys. Town manager had her public hearing on the warrant last week. She reviewed all the articles on the warrant, including the EFPBC articles. I just want to share with you guys in terms of questions that came up. Let's see if I pull this up real quick. So I'm just sharing with you, this is the actual motion book for fall town meeting. Let me pull up. There we go. There's our high school concrete repair article. So there were questions from the public about what was the scope of the repair needed. So I did answer that, explain that we would be applying the surface applied corrosion inhibitor to nearly the entirety of the first floor slab. From below, there were some questions and concern about whether this would be disruptive to students and staff. So kind of made that distinction. These are good questions to have because they kind of inform us about what the presentation needs to hit. So we clarified that this crawl space work is something that can actually happen this school year if it gets funded, but that the topside work, although it's very limited in scope, will require some demolition and reconstruction, and we envision that that would be summer work. We've also clarified for everybody that the $845,000 that we are requesting this fall, and to remind the committee, so this is covering the cost from SGH to put together the full bid package and specs and CA fee, as well as the application of the surface applied corrosion inhibitor. And then beyond that, there's also an allowance in here for SGH to pull together at least 100% design development set for the topside work and an updated estimate, so that our plan is we would be going to Springtown meeting for a second request to actually fund the topside work that would happen in the summer. And I also, if I haven't said this before, I want to reiterate this to the committee. This motion language, the article and the motion language was drafted very carefully with a lot of input from town management, such that these dollars are somewhat fungible. If the SACI work, let's say, comes in significantly under budget, which would be great, any dollars not spent from this appropriation in the fall are dollars that are absolutely available for the topside work. So we don't know yet, when this work would get done, the crawl space work, but the hope is we would at least have it bid and have a number, which would be a big part of the equation. Not clear yet, again, if everything would be completed before we get to Springtown meeting, but it'd be nice if it was. So that's good. There's just some flexibility in here that that Meg and the assistant town manager wanted to be sure that we had. So I really appreciate that. I'll take questions here if anybody has them. I don't think we're going to get many. I would just tell you that there's no background language here in the motion book because this is a jointly sponsored article with the Capital Planning Committee. The capital planning report has a little more information about what's going on here. It's very, very high level. So that's really the scope of it. And then when we get to it in a few minutes, I did share with you guys a draft of our written report for fall town meeting, where I got into much more detail about what's going on here and our approach in terms of fall versus spring. So hopefully that's clear. And if there are not any questions on 15, I'm happy to fly into 18 here real quick.
I don't see any hands up, Chris.
Okay. All right, so we have some good news here on 18. So the article, the motion you've seen before, did develop some background language that explains, why it is we're going for supplemental funding. And then then this note here, additional background. This is literally lifted from the motion book in the spring when we first went for funding. So that's that. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, bring up another document. I'm not really good at jumping back and forth like this in Zoom, so bear with me. I'll get it. Thought I had it ready. I apologize. Here we go. Okay. I'm just going to blow that up a little bit. Okay, so hopefully you guys, you saw the attachment that I sent out. It was right after Jay's email late last week, maybe it was on Friday. So we were very pleased at following our community meeting on the gym project in May. We were approached by leadership of the Winchester Basketball Association. They had an interest in supporting this project if necessary. And we've been keeping them informed of the status of this project, given that the low bidder retracted their bid and that we suddenly had a delta in funding. So the Winchester Basketball Association very generously made a contribution of $50,000 after the warrant closed towards the overall cost of the project, specifically to reduce the free cash request that we had. That number was originally 670. I think those letters were sent to you on Friday. And then in addition to that, the Winchester Sports Foundation has also made a donation of $25,000 towards the project. So that's a $75,000 donation. It actually was presented to and approved or accepted by the select board at their meeting last week on Monday, the 28th. And so now what has to happen is, because this is a jointly sponsored article, the EFPBC simply needs to approve the revised motion. The only thing that's changing is the funding amount. And then the select board is going to vote to do the same at their meeting right before town meeting on the 7th. And then this document will be made available to town meeting members on the table outside the auditorium. So just again, the number changes from 670 to 595. There's a brief explanation here, recognizing and thanking the WBA and the Sports Foundation for the donation towards the project. And then it just refers town meeting members back to the motion book for the actual detail on the project. So it's great that these two folks have brought forward these donations. $595,000 is still an awful lot of money. There are a number of requests coming from free cash this year. I'll remind the committee, I think, Meg, maybe 6 weeks ago-ish, we got the Department of Revenue certified our free cash balance is around $24 million. So we are sitting on a pile of free cash, but the select board does have a policy towards free cash reserves, percentage of our operating budget. So it's never our intention to spend all the free cash, but we have quite a bit of it, and free cash that exceeds the select board's policy is typically, when it is spent, it's put towards one-time costs. It really shouldn't be put towards recurring operating expenses. The bonding agencies do not take a favorable view of that. So this is certainly a one-time capital expense. So we're basically looking to revise that number from 670 to 595. So happy to take questions, and if there are none, no questions.
I don't see any.
All right, I will make a motion that the EFPBC approve revised funding motion for Article 18 with a reduction in the free cash request from 670 to $595,000 as presented, and to thank the Winchester Sports Foundation and Winchester Basketball Association for their support of the project.
I will second that. It's Brendan.
Brendan, thank you. Okay, we'll get over to our roll call. Frank?
Sorry.
Thanks. Elisa?
Yes.
Todd?
Aye.
Geetha? Geetha, you also- okay. Okay. John?
Aye.
Colleen?
Hi.
Mark? Richard?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And Emily?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys. So
That's
then
great.
my last item here under town meeting, again, just going back to my opening remarks, the moderator has asked a number of committees for written reports this round, which is great. It means we don't have to make like an actual in-person presentation with PowerPoint. So we put together a draft report. It's 4 pages. It's sort of similar in length and detail to what you see from the planning board or the capital planning committee. So this draft we wanted to share with you tonight is to fall town meeting. We start off kind of with the elephant in the room, which is the Lynch Elementary School. Describe the progress of the project. Leading off with some good news here. This is really our first opportunity to share with town meeting the second official increase in reimbursement. If you'll remember, the MSBA increased the construction cost cap a second time. And that was actually not, that was presented to us, I think in May and June by Andy and Vivian, and it was executed by the town manager in July. So that all came after Springtown meeting, and we didn't want to jinx ourselves and really talk about this at Springtown meeting until the ink was dry, so to speak. So this is just a real quick summary, reminding town meeting that the estimated maximum facilities grant had already gone from 17 to $19.9 million, and then a second time it has increased from 19.9 to 24.9. So it's almost an additional $5 million in reimbursement or guaranteed maximum facilities cap grant. So that's good news. We hope that makes it a little easier for town meeting members to spend more money on the gym and concrete at the high school. I hope so anyway. The notes here are actually from Andy's presentation tonight that he shared with us just last week. So just some progress notes. And then we have kind of a look forward into November, December, and January that we're sharing with town meeting as well. Next, we pivot to a little more detail on the high school gym reflooring and reconfiguration project. There is a brief acknowledgement here that we had a low bidder that retracted their bid, but that the second low bidder has agreed to hold their number through fall town meeting. Describing the donations from the 2 foundations, and then a quick summary here on schedule. If Article 18 is passed and we award the contract, then we're looking for a late spring start through the summer. I don't know if I want to put Frank on the spot yet, because we know the gym is kind of a backup space for high school graduation when the weather's bad, but this space perhaps could be made available to the contractor the day after graduation if need be. But I think administration is still kind of thinking through that, but the goal is to just maximize the amount of time for the contractor to get the work done. Then our third item we're giving an update on is the concrete repair and remediation project. Remember, this is that jointly sponsored project with capital planning, so there's not a lot of detail in the capital planning report. So here we're kind of telling town meeting what we've told them before. The good news is this is fall town meeting, so folks, virtually everybody was there in the spring. They'll be familiar with this. Reminding town meeting that we have 2 different pathways leading to contamination of or deterioration of the concrete, the crawl space carbonation and the topside chloride contamination, and just kind of explaining the work we did over the summer with the mock-up and the favorable results we got in the lab. And then we're summarizing that this funding request is to cover the cost for the surface applied corrosion inhibitor, and as well as an allowance for SGH to continue their topside design and engineering with an updated estimate. And then moving towards the end, we have an update on the 10-year facilities master plan, which I can share with you guys. The UMass Donahue Institute's team has actually engaged on this. They started gathering data a couple of weeks ago. They're pinging us with very specific questions of things that they're looking for. They will be coming out to visit Winchester the third week of November. And we'll be meeting with some representatives of various public bodies, as well as our town planner. So we're looking forward to that. But right now they're kind of on autopilot. There's a lot of work that they're doing, and they're developing questions for us, which is just as well, because we're all obviously really focused on town meeting. So just a description here of the scope of their work. This will be familiar to you guys. This is literally right out of their proposal that the EFPBC approved. And then again, we're just kind of reviewing schedule. They are holding firm that they think they'll have their deliverable for us on the updated enrollment and demographic report by the end of December. So the timeline on that will be really important, not only for the school committee and select board's consideration of, a submission to the MSBA, but, I think Frank will be interested in that as well, because by that point, he'll be knee deep in putting together the operating budget for the next school year. And then we just thank Meg and Frida for their time. So that's kind of the run through. It's 4 pages. For public committees to submit a report, it does need to be voted by the committee. I know you guys were not expecting this. We just found out last week we needed to throw this report together. So we did. Happy to take any questions or suggestions here. And I would just ask, I think I got everybody's name spelled right. I think I've looked 6 or 7 times, but if I didn't, please let me know. I wouldn't be sending this out tonight, but I'd like to get this out to town hall tomorrow afternoon if possible.
All right, I see a question from Richard.
Hey, Richard.
Hi. It's more of a comment. And Chris, it's a nice report. Thanks for putting it together for us. My only suggestion would be the second to the last paragraph on page 4, where you talk about public being invited to our meetings. You might note also that the meetings are recorded and they're available on WinCam.
Oh yeah, it's a great idea.
If the public can't make it to the meetings live.
That is a great idea. I will definitely add that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris, putting this together. It's taken a tremendous amount of time. Anyway, just curious, did the town give you a limit of number of pages? I mean, for the report? Or
So I actually, Geeta, believe it or not, I have in my hands, and I'll prove it. I have the reports from the capital planning committee and planning board. So I think our report is sort of just the right length. Capital planning's report, I think, is 6 or 7 pages. It's not as long as the FinCom report, but that's a different animal altogether. So I think it's the right length, and sort of describe.
Any visuals to go along on that day of the presentation? No. Okay.
No, that's unfortunately, because we're so time constrained, we don't. So no visuals for this one, sadly. It's just the words.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big help, Chris. Thank you. Okay, we get a motion?
Yeah, I make the motion to approve the draft report that we have in front of us for the fall town meeting.
Second.
Richard, and we'll get to the roll call. Frank?
Aye.
All right. Lisa?
Yes.
Brendan?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Colleen?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Mark? Don?
Aye.
And Emily?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Next is next meeting is November 18th, and it's going to be brief. Chris put a note on the meeting minutes there because the town meeting is also that night. And then we'll do the December 2nd, which will keep us on track, the 16th and January 6th. I know with the holidays and everything, some of those will be hard for people to make, but try to stay on schedule as much as we can.
And Jay, I think am I right in thinking we're November 18th, we're sort of asking people to hold, like we might have some payment spending or payment authorizations we need to act on, or something that's that really just can't wait until December 2nd. But if we do meet on the 18th, it's not going to be a meeting with a bunch of presentations. It should be really could be a 15-minute meeting at the most.
Yeah, just to pay the bills. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, brief meeting on the 18th. Okay. Anyone have anything else?
Just a comment, I guess when Mark and Emily was asking for the site visit, correct me, Chris and Jay, if it's wrong, is that like that you text it to the OPM or something and they will let you know whether it's a good day to go and you can go? Is that how it's handled?
Frank said Andrew will take care of making a schedule for those two or whoever else.
Okay.
I don't think
We-
we have a bunch of dates. We're gonna have probably just one makeup day to go through.
We can make arrangements for Thursday in and around the trailer meetings, which are mid-morning. But if people needed other days, we wouldn't be able to do that. We'd have to go through the OPM.
Yeah. Okay.
Jay, I'm happy to make a motion to adjourn 7:19. We were almost on time.
Second.
Okay, Geetha, thank you. Frank?
Aye.
All right. Lisa?
Yes.
Okay, Brendan?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
John?
Yes.
Colleen?
Yes.
Mark?
Aye.
Richard?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
And Emily?
Yes.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dave.
Nice
Good night.
meeting you.
Have a good
Good
week.
night.
Thanks, guys. Good night.